Hello and welcome back to the FIT40 Podcast, where we simplify exercise and nutrition for busy parents 40 plus so they can improve their health and feel amazing. I'm your host, Brian Fitzsimmons, certified personal trainer and nutrition coach for people over 40 since 2015. And today we have an awesome topic on deck. We're going to be talking about how to boost how to boost energy without caffeine or supplements. I am currently sipping on caffeine, so I am basically going to be writing a letter to myself, note to self, hey, start actually listening to your own advice. But along with that, I figured I'll put all this out there for you to take and use in your own life so that way you don't feel like you're dragging all day and you feel like, hey, I am actually capable of making it all the way through without feeling like I hit that crash at whatever point that is. Now, before I jump in and talk about it in depth, make sure if you aren't already, you hit that follow or subscribe button so that way you are following or you are subscribed wherever you are watching or listening so that way you do not miss another episode because we come out with these episodes every single week so you get a nice steady stream of awesome information so that you can be feeling your best. All right, so on with the show. Let's talk about it. How to boost energy without caffeine or supplements. So we've all been there. We know, hey, that mid-morning, that mid-afternoon crash where it eventually like we're doing our work and all of a sudden we start feeling a little bit more tired, a little bit lethargic, and all of a sudden we're like, I feel like I can't do anything. I can't even look at my screen. I can't do the basic stuff. And I feel like I just want to go take a nap. And it's so common because if we're being totally honest, most people just have no idea how good they're supposed to feel. And we kind of get used to this stuff. Like we've been running on empty for so long that we were kind of numb to how crappy our norm feels. Like we should not be feeling like we're ready to crash out through the middle of the day when we still have a second half of the day to go. Maybe your work, once you get done, you still have to be present for your kids. You still have to get them places. You still have to go see family and you need to have energy to do that. And it's like, how the hell can we even do that? We just kind of get by, we push through, but it doesn't have to be that way. So first off, let's identify why our energy is low in the first place. So some common culprits, number one, by far across the board is sleep. A lot of us just don't prioritize sleep. When we're thinking about all the things we want to get done throughout the day, we're usually making compromises towards the end where it's like, okay, maybe I'll do one more episode of this Netflix show. Maybe I'll hang out for another hour with my spouse. Maybe I will stay up a little bit longer with my child because they aren't down to bed yet. And hey, they come first. My sleep doesn't. Totally fair. And it happens. But we're going to talk about some ways to improve all of that. Okay. Another thing is stress. A lot of us are overly stressed, more stressed than we've ever been. So now that we have this crazy amount of stress on our plate, we have to deal with it in some way. And again, we're going to cover all this, but right now it's just there's so much on our plate that we don't really know what to do with, and it's affecting us because it's starting to drain our battery. Another thing is skipped meals, because along with our busy ass schedule, it really doesn't leave a whole lot of room for sitting down and having a proper meal. Dehydration. A lot of people struggle with just sipping on water because, again, so many things going on. It's kind of like the last thing on the list. And we're like, oh yeah, I haven't really drank anything today. No wonder I have a headache. And then last but not least is not moving at all, because between jobs, kids, sports, a million other things going on, when the heck do we even have time to exercise? All right. And then along with all of that, there's these like energy leaks throughout the day that we don't really tend to notice. Things like sitting all day with zero breaks. We just go on these stretches for hours and hours and hours. And I know I've done it too, even though I'm a personal trainer, I'm on my feet a lot. But like when it comes to programming, for example, I'll sit down for a 4 or 5, 6 hour clip and just bang out a bunch of programs. And then you get done and you're like, oh my God, I feel like shit right now. Like I feel so lethargic, so brain foggy. And I'm like, I don't understand how people do this on a daily basis. Like I can't even imagine how hard that is. And then also pairing that with eating high sugar foods that spike and crash our blood sugar, and constantly carrying around that stress that we talked about without any form of release. It's just all bottled up, and it takes effort to hold all of that in. So we've just got this shit storm going on right now, and it gets to a point where our bodies are actually really adaptable to the situation. They just feel run down, but you get used to it and you forget what that good feeling feels like. And what we want to talk about now are some simple daily habits that you can implement that are going to get you to that place of, okay, this is what it's supposed to feel like. All right. So number one, let's move more often whenever we can. And it doesn't have to be these hour-long, 2-hour-long exercise sessions. It could be little stuff throughout the day, like a short walk after your meal, which is also really good for digestion. And when we are digesting our stuff properly and it's pushing through our bodies a little bit faster, that also makes us feel a little bit more energetic, because now that's food is not just sitting in our stomach. Kind of like when you eat a ton of food and you sit down and you feel like you're ready to take a nap. We don't have that going on with these short walks, because number one, we're digesting, we're pushing it all through, and our body's able to utilize those nutrients faster. But also because now, if we're taking these walks, we're in motion. Our body's like, okay, we're not in first gear, now we're in second gear and we're doing something right now. And if you get outside and you get a little sunlight on you, boom, now we have that sunlight giving us a little bit more energy as well. You could also do this with what are called exercise snacks. These are really popular right about now, where people will do push-ups, squats, stretches, like periodically throughout the day whenever they can. And any and all movement helps. I can tell you right now, if you don't do anything right now, but next time while you're like, I don't know, waiting on your lunch to microwave, if you bang out a couple of squats, you probably are going to feel better. Like you might even feel a little bit sore if you don't work out at all, and you knock a few of those out and you're like, okay, now I feel those muscles working a little bit. And then you do it throughout the week and you're like, oh, I feel my hips loosening up a little bit. My back feels a little bit better. This is kind of nice. And then you get into that rhythm of, I want to keep feeling this. Another thing you could do is prioritize things like PFC, which is why I coach it and teach it in the FIT40 program. Okay. Because when you get protein, fiber, and color in your diet, it balances your meals out, which helps keep that blood sugar nice and steady. So if you are super sensitive to blood sugar spikes and crashes, and you're on this roller coaster all day, and all of a sudden you get these meals that regulate that, you now have that steady stream throughout the day instead of feeling like $1,000,000 and then boom, crashing for the other 90% of the day. And just so you know, when it comes to these types of foods, protein, fiber, and also healthy fats, because I do teach about that, like which fats to pick. And when we're talking about healthy fats, it's the mono and polyunsaturated. When you get all of those in, but even other types of fats like saturated and tropical fats, which we want to limit, if not eliminate, when you have all that stuff in your diet, that protein, the fiber, and all that, it will slow down blood sugar, or sorry, it'll slow down sugar absorption, because when you have those foods, it takes longer to digest. So instead of it hitting you super duper quick, it doesn't happen that fast, and it's slowly digesting. You're slowly getting those little hits of sugar, and it will not result in this gigantic spike. So adding that stuff into your day can help you feel so much better. And notice I didn't say eliminate. I'm not saying cut out all sugar. I'm just saying add this stuff in, and you'll find that it helps you feel better. And when you add stuff like that in, it actually helps you makes you feel more full as well. So you're less likely to overeat on calories and overeat on those things that leave us feeling crappier. Next is hydrating. Start the day with some kind of liquid. There's a lot of people that are like, oh, you got to start with water instead of coffee, but it really doesn't make any difference. They've debunked that over and over and over again to this point, because I think it was Andrew Huberman made it really popular. And then naturally people are like, let's look into this. And they do. And it's really not that big of a difference if you start with water or coffee or whatever. The key is get liquids in, some sort of liquids. And if you are trying to lose weight, if you're trying to maintain weight, it can help to start your day, and really throughout the entire day, focus on liquids that are 0 calorie, if not very, very low calories. So that would be like anything under, like, I would say 25 calories or less. So starting with liquids helps a ton. And it also can help a lot with people with blood pressure issues as well, because especially those on like the lower end of things, making sure that you prioritize liquids can help regulate your blood pressure. And if you're exercising and you find yourself getting dizzy and you add these in, sometimes those dizzy spells can reduce, if not eliminate completely, which would be great considering you don't want to get really dizzy when you're around heavy equipment. Also, adding electrolytes if you're active or sweating. So if you are getting more movement in, you're starting to sweat a little bit more, and you aren't consuming a crap ton of sodium throughout your diet, which unfortunately many people are. That's why 1 in 2 people have hypertension or elevated blood pressure. Okay. If you're not in that category, then electrolytes can help a lot. And also if you're in a very hot temperature. So if you live in Florida or South America or somewhere like California, anywhere where you get a lot of sunlight, you are hot throughout most of the day, and your AC is just cranked up to the max, like you sweat just going to get the mail, then stuff like this can help a lot because you're going to have higher need for electrolytes due to that extra sweating. Next is to sleep like it's your job, because I know we always sacrifice sleep. Sleep is that thing that always gets put on the back burner, but it makes all the difference in the world. Okay. It can help to have a consistent bedtime routine. So when you go to bed, ideally we want to keep it about an hour, give or take, around the same time. So if you say, hey, I'm going to get to bed by 10, then on your latest nights, try and cap it by 11. And on early nights where you feel like you could get a little extra, do it by like 9. And that should keep it kind of close enough to the point where you can get into a steady rhythm. Instead of one night you go to bed at like 2 in the morning and the next you go to bed at like 9 and your body's all over the place and it doesn't know which way is up. Next is not scrolling in bed, just making a point to not have your phone in bed. So if possible, if you are able to, it can help to ditch your phone completely, like leave it in the kitchen, leave it in another room, and get a regular alarm clock. Back in those days before we had cell phones, back when most of us were kids, if not even alive, some people maybe, but I know the 40 plus crowd understands those times before cell phones. We made it happen back then. We can make it happen now. That being said, I know some people do have special circumstances. I know one client always comes to mind where she challenged me on it and said, hey, I got a kid in college. I want to be able to hear that 2 a.m. call. God forbid it ever comes through, which I'm like, hey, totally fair. Just put your note or put your sound up and put it out of arm's reach. So that way you can't grab it just to scroll when you're bored. We want to reduce or eliminate the possibility of that happening so that you can wind down and get to bed, because chances of that happening, depending on your kid, okay, it's probably not going to happen every single night. Most likely, it's probably going to happen very, very, very infrequently. So have it around, but not close enough where it's within arm's reach and you can start scrolling mindlessly, because that's what we're really trying to cut down on. And next is breathing or stress resets. Okay. Just taking a sec out of your day. If you have a moment, whether you are in your car ready to just go into work, or maybe right as you get done from work, or maybe on the toilet, maybe you have the break room to yourself for a little bit, and just doing some conscious breathing. Box breathing is a great one. It's just 4, 4, 4, 4, 4-second inhale, 4-second hold, 4-second exhale, 4-second hold. And you just do that for a few minutes, and it honestly can make a world of difference. I used to be one of the biggest people saying, this is bullshit. Like, it doesn't do that much. There's no way. It's literally just breathing. But then I tested it out and I'm like, wow, I'm getting like a head high from this. Like, I feel like I'm talking in slow motion, because that's how much of a difference it made for me. So I highly suggest just giving it a try. It's literally just breathing. So if you haven't done that, give it a try. And then also along with that, let's talk about how to make it even easier to get to that next level of how do we actually get this stuff done? Because I'm putting it out there and saying, do this, do this, do this. But how? How can we actually get to the point where we put this into action? So easiest way is habit stacking. Habit stacking is where you pair something with something, like a new habit with something that you already do. So let's say you're on a call. Go for a walk while you're on the call. You're taking it anyway. Can you take it while walking? Assuming you don't have to do computer work and stuff when you're on it. This is more reserved for like when friends or family call or stuff like that. Or if it's a work call and you just have to be present in the meeting, you don't really have to contribute, go for a walk. You could also do some movement hygiene, like those exercise snacks that we talked about while your coffee is brewing in the morning, or placing your phone away from your bed right before hopping in bed. So we have the action of going to bed, which we do all the time, every single time. Put your phone down before you even hit the sheets. Or let's say before even brushing your teeth, put it in that separate room if you're able to. And along with that, don't try and do this all at once. Doing all these things right away is a recipe for burnout and not having anything stick. If you want something to truly stick for the rest of your life, only do one thing at a time. Maybe 2 if you are able to and you have the capacity. But honestly, the people listening to this who are really low on energy, really stressed out, really busy, chances are that isn't you. So just do one thing, just one. And then once that becomes so mindless that you don't even have to think about it, do the next thing. Okay. Because when you do that over and over and over again, you will build a gigantic list of all these positive habits. And along with that, when it comes to things like caffeine and supplements, don't go completely cold turkey right away because your body is kind of like using these for a reason at this point. So what we want to do is implement these positive behaviors to the point where you feel like you don't need those. It's more of a want versus need situation. It's not 100% dire need. Like you're not hitting those crashes throughout the day where you're like, I need my caffeine. I need that coffee. It's, hey, I feel pretty good, but I kind of want a little bit of a boost. Like right now, I feel pretty good, but I clearly like to be a little bit elevated for these podcasts because I like to bring the energy for you guys so I could give you a little bit of a boost just from listening to this. So I choose to have the caffeine to provide that little extra. But if I really wanted to, I could just film this without it and it'd be totally fine. But that's the place we want to be where we make that decision, not we're a slave to the caffeine. And also, along with all this, I just want to tell you right now, if you do put all this into action, you're going to eventually get to that place where you do feel a difference between just getting by and just surviving and actually thriving, having that energy, powering through the day. And it's going to be incredible. Okay. Because again, like I said in the beginning, most people don't know how good can feel. Real energy just doesn't come from caffeine or powders. It comes from movement. It comes from food, water, sleep, and stress management techniques. So if you try one of these for a week, you'll realize normal was not normal at all once you feel that first like kick, and you'll never really want to settle for feeling crappy again. So let's start today. Just pick one thing, just that one thing, and nail it. And if you don't do it right away perfectly, congrats. You're in the club of normal people. Just trial and error, figure it out, test, retest, and figure out ways to make it easier throughout your day. And once you hit that point, just keep doing that over and over and over again. And that's the game that we're playing. All right. So that's it for how to increase your energy without caffeine or supplements. But if you want that next level of, okay, I get what you're saying, but I really want somebody to hold me to the flame, like make me accountable and provide all the extra stuff that I didn't talk about today. That's what my First 5 program is for. So the First 5 is a program specifically about teaching you how to lose that first 5 pounds and make sure that it stays off for life. Okay, you learn the simple nutrition strategies like PFC and also how to count calories, how to do macros, how to get your stress and sleep and all that under control. There's time-friendly workouts that fit into your crazy schedules so you can get the movement in without feeling like you have to be spending hours in the gym. And like I just said, accountability. I'm going to be there for you to help you do the darn thing because let's be honest, most of us suck at holding ourselves accountable, myself included. That's why I always hire coaches and mentors because I'm like, okay, now I actually have to do it. All right. So if that's you and you want to finally start doing the things that you know you should be doing, go ahead and click the link in the show notes, in the description, wherever you're watching or listening, get all the details. And I hope to see you in the First 5 this upcoming week. But if not, I'll see you next week for another podcast episode. All right. So thank you for making it all the way through. I'll see you later. But until then, go kick some ass. Bye-bye.